by our next lecturer, who is Wendy Rey Cárdenas. Welcome, Wendy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely loud and clear. So let me give you, please, the biodata. Wendy Rey. She holds a degree in basic education with an emphasis on humanities and languages from Universidad Libre, Bogotá, and a master's in teaching English as a foreign language from International University of La Rioja, Spain. She has over 7 years of experience teaching English and French to diverse populations from young children to older adults. Currently, she teaches first grade English at Colegio Nuestra Señora de Fátima in Cúcuta and works as a simultaneous medical interpreter. Her passion from innovative pedagogy, integrating ICTs and flipped learning, has led to research presentations, a book chapter, and participation in the ILET research group at Universidad Libre. Thank you, Professor, for being with us here today. The room is now all yours.
Thank you so much. Welcome everybody to this presentation entitled Strengthening Lexical Competence in English as a Foreign Language through in-class flip in preschool and first grade, and an interest-centered approach. As the professor already mentioned, my name is Wendy Rey. I currently work at Colegio Nuestra Señora de Fátima de Cúcuta. It belongs to the schools of La Policía Nacional, the police here in Colombia. So I'm so proud to represent my school today with you all in this amazing event. I know a couple of professors at ÚNICA and they truly inspire me. And I'm so happy to be part of this great event. And thank you so much for the opportunity. So we're going to start by saying that I'm for the first time this year a grade 1 teacher, which means that I didn't have the opportunity, or I hadn't had the opportunity to approach this type of population. And I started to understand that bilingualism in early childhood is a challenge, is a very huge challenge, because they are starting to learn or to read. They are starting their reading and writing process. So it's both a challenge and an opportunity, because they are starting to identify or recognize sounds, phonemes, graphemes, letters in Spanish, which is already a very hard language to learn. But now, what about English? So it led me to think on or about how we could lead these kids or take these kids to be bilingual in a non-English speaking country, which is Colombia. So it is a challenge and an opportunity. So this project aims to foster their English vocabulary learning in preschool, as I already mentioned, and grade 1. And I have my colleague here, Olinda Lopez. She's also working with me in this specific project. And it combines something that we were required by law, by the Ministry of Education in our country. It combines what give me just 1 second, there are people waiting. Okay, from my school. Welcome everybody from the school. So it combines centros de interés, which is a requirement by el Ministerio de Educación in Colombia, to be implemented in the schools in La Policía Nacional. So we start to think, okay, how can we develop centros de interés or interest centers in our school and with kids, with early childhood population? So we came up with this awesome idea that combines interest centers and in-class flip to reach a meaningful EFL exposure in the classroom. So to continue with, there's a problem. So what was the issue here? What was the need? Thing is that traditional methods fail to engage young learners in vocabulary development. Teaching with a board or with a textbook leads to boredom or let's say monotonous work in the classroom. So we needed more dynamic and interactive methodologies for our kids to learn. And also there is limited integration of interactive, as I already said, student-centered and bilingual practices. And there was a need for age-appropriate strategies that supported oral language acquisition. that was the need. So our question, our research question was, how does the in-class flip model support vocabulary acquisition in early learners? Our objectives were three. We had one general, but I decided to bring just the three pedagogical objectives into the research field today. The first one is to strengthen lexical competence in English through in-class flip. The second one is to promote motivation and autonomy in a bilingual learning environment. And the third one is to encourage peer interaction and communication in the language. Here on the right, you can see our kids, and our centro de interés is called Kids Zone, okay? So in the theoretical framework, we have four constructs, four pillars. The first one, of course, is flip learning. I'm a very passionate person. I'm really passionate about flip learning. Why? Because it is the answer to a lot of the issues we have as teachers. It's the answer to constraints or limitations in terms of time, in terms of methodology, and student-centered strategies. So it's the answer. And why? Because it moves direct instruction out of the group learning space to maximize classroom interaction. The classroom setting becomes a dynamic one. So it's awesome. And I based my undergraduate research project on flip learning, my master's also on flip learning, and now I'm very happy to implement flip learning in my work environment. And it encourages learner autonomy, active engagement or active learning, and intentional content use according to Talbot 2017. But there's something that we as teachers face most of the time, and it is that we cannot leave homework, right? In some school settings, we cannot leave homework in certain subjects. So we needed something different, something that allowed students to access the content that they would normally access to in their individual learning space. We needed something that could integrate that in the classroom and also allow them to have their dynamic environment or dynamic experience in the classroom. So there's in-class flip that was developed by Professor Ramirez, Professor Vitrago, which I really love them. Okay, I really love Professor Ramirez and Professor Vitrago. And why did we choose this? It's because we wanted something that would adapt flip learning for classrooms without home access to technology. And because our students are kids, they are in their early childhood. So they basically cannot access technology on their own without the help of their parents, right? And also we have centros de interés as required by or requested for us to implement by the Ministerio de Educación Nacional. And it's a thematic and child-centered learning environments that respond to students' interests. And also we have another construct, which is a pedagogical translanguaging, which promotes the use of all linguistic resources, L1 and L2, for meaning making and learning, according to Garcia and we. It builds meta-linguistic awareness by allowing flexible movement between languages. So what was the methodology? We have the context to Nuestra Señora de Fátima School in Cúcuta, Colombia. We have the participants, preschool and first graders. We have the paradigm, which is a qualitative paradigm, and the design is action research because we are the ones who are researching, but we are also the teachers. And the instruments, we had observations, checklists, we have a diagnostic activity at first, we have anecdotal records, informal interviews in class with the classroom teachers and with the parents. And our data collection techniques are field notes during each session, pictures of student work, videos, classroom dynamics, audio recordings, and so on. So what was the pedagogical intervention? It all comes down to centros de interés, right? Which is a thematic interest-driven learning. And we wanted to combine it with in-class flip. I love the pillars of flip learning, and one of them is learning culture. We wanted to promote this learning culture pillar among students, even if they are in their early childhood stage of life. It's hard to say that a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old could be autonomous or could have a learning culture, but you will be very surprised to meet my kids and to know and to dive a little bit deeper into the strategies we're implementing, and you'll be surprised if you could hear them speaking in their own words and explaining how much they are enjoying the classes and how well they're learning. And they really love station rotation. this is the first time we are implementing station rotation in the school. So definitely that leads the path or paves the way for the other teachers to get a pedagogical experience that actually works. If it works with a 5-year-old, with a 6-year-old, why not would it work with an 11-year-old, for example? And of course, it all aims at vocabulary acquisition. So our partial findings, because we haven't finished this research, it's an ongoing research. Students improve their vocabulary or have improved so far in the topics we have covered in the classroom. They have improved the vocabulary, recall, and pronunciation, which is a very huge challenge because, as I mentioned, they are learning to speak Spanish, they're learning to read in Spanish, they're learning to write in Spanish. So including English as a foreign language in a non-English speaking country is a challenge. So the fact that they are pronouncing words correctly, they are learning the words the right way, that makes us really, really, really happy. And there's high engagement and motivation during the sessions. They love going to El Centro de Interés. Whenever Friday comes, they are super excited about the fact that we're going to go to the library of the school and we're going to have this classroom setting that you see here on the right. Within class flip model, you can see the stations. We have the practice stations, the teacher support station, the independent station, which they love. You know, this is for fast finishers. When they finish the loop of the station rotation, they are so excited about going to the independent station and do the activities that are, of course, purposeful activities within the topic. And we have seen that there's an emergence of peer tutors. The students that are part of the sample of the population, they have become tutors in their classrooms. So they help each other, and that's amazing because it actually corresponds to the pillars of flip learning. And parents actually notice language use at home. And of course, us as teachers, we did it in the classroom. So based on the research question, our conclusions so far are that in class flip plus entry centers combined, they are an amazing mix for effective and fun EFL learning. And this methodology promotes autonomy, collaboration, and oral skills in the EFL classroom. And it is, of course, a replicable model for early bilingual education in similar contexts. People or teachers who cannot send homework, who cannot have another time in the week with their students. So they really need something that can help them save in time and in their context. So definitely flip learning is the answer. And last but not least, in class flip, proves to be an effective and adaptable strategy for young EFL learners. I mean, we have 5-year-old and 6-year-old, and the results are amazing, given the context and some limitations that we had at start. These are some of the references I used for the presentation. Thank you so much, and I'm open to questions.
All right, thank you, Professor, for these insights into this experience with young learners. And well, now the room is open for you to engage with the